We have the club growth team from District 6 Toastmasters here with us today to give us a taste of the Toastmasters education program. They'll be walking us through a prepared speech, an evaluation, and a session of impromptu speaking called Table Topics. So if everyone could help me welcome Ben Smith, he's going to be our Toastmasters for the meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the demo meeting today that we're having at Anytime Fit. How many have heard about Toastmasters before? Awesome. 10 years ago, I was listening to Dave Ryan on KDWB on my way into work, and he talked about Toastmasters, and I had heard about Toastmasters, but I never knew anyone that was in Toastmasters, so I emailed Dave. I don't know how I got his email address. I don't remember how, but I emailed him. He replied back to me and invited me to come to his club. And so the next Tuesday night, I went to his club, and I've been a Toastmaster ever since. My second speech, I was so nervous. In the middle of my speech, I had notes and everything. I got up and I looked around the room and I said, I'm too nervous, I'm gonna sit down. I went and sat down in the middle of my second speech in Toastmasters. My club was gracious enough to allow me to get up the next week and give the speech, and I made it all the way through. And now I like to say no one can shut me up, and that's mostly true. There are a few different pieces of paper in front of you at each of your seats. One is an agenda. Toastmasters really likes having an agenda. So we have an agenda today to kind of tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing for the meeting. The second piece of paper that we have is a features, benefits, and values chart. And that just goes through and tells you a little bit about what features and benefits that you can expect from a Toastmasters club and being a part of a Toastmasters club. The third thing is a charter membership application. And that we'd love to have you fill out right now today. The fourth item that you have is an index card. If you have a minute, please take a moment and think about where you've always wanted to go or where you have your next vacation planned. And just write that destination down on the index card, and I will collect those in about 2 or 3 minutes. So if you have a pen handy, go ahead and do that right now. And we will use that later on in the meeting. In a minute here, we're going to have a prepared speech given by Dave Gibson. After that, we're going to have an evaluation portion of the meeting, and that will be facilitated by Robbie Rye. And then I will get back up and lead us through the impromptu speaking and wrap up with some questions and answers at the end. I'm looking for either an ah counter, which would count as many ahs or ums that anybody giving a presentation today would mark down, and you would be willing to do that? Awesome, perfect. And I'm also looking for a grammarian. If you look at the agenda on the bottom left-hand side, there's a word of the day, and today's word of the day is communicate. So we have a word of the day for every meeting, and that is so that we will promote our vocabulary, to get out and use words that we may not always use, or just some words that are common, but we don't necessarily think to put them in. We found out, just speaking to some of the guests here earlier today, that we have one person that is already currently in Toastmasters that is joining us today. So John, would you like to come up and tell a little bit about your experience and how it's helped you in being in Toastmasters? Please help me welcome John.
I've only been in Toastmasters probably 3 months now, and just some of the fun things that I've done is talked about myself. Some of the things that you can do. You talk about the things that you've done. Talk about experiences that you've had. It gives you the ability to work outside your comfort zone. I recommend it. It's great to learn new things. It's great to meet new people and new faces, and it's a lot of fun.
So what I like to liken Toastmasters to is like a gym for your career skills. Now we all know, as you guys are Anytime Fitness employees or contractors or work in the building, that some people go to the gym to work out their physical bodies. Clearly I'm not one of them, but people also can go to Toastmasters to work on their career skills. Public speaking, listening, running a meeting on time, giving evaluations, impromptu speaking, speaking off the top of your head. Dave is going to give us a speech entitled Lead, so please help me welcome Dave Gibson.
Thank you. How do you move an elephant? If you get out in front of an elephant and you try to tug it along, you could find yourself getting trampled. And if you get behind it and push, you could get sat on. or worse. Over the course of my life, I've had several jobs. But from the very first time that I traded effort for dollars, I knew that I wanted to be the boss. Oh, to be able to sit back and have minions to do my bidding. That would be the life. You see, I hadn't learned the difference between being a manager and being a leader.
As I mentioned, we have an evaluation portion of every Toastmasters meeting. So today we're going to have Ravi Rai, who is also an incoming Club Growth Director, get up and facilitate an evaluation of Dave's presentation. So would you please help me welcome Ravi Rai?
So this is the portion of the meeting. What we do is we look back at how the meeting was conducted and specifically give feedback to our speakers. So our speaker today was Dave. So instead of me giving a feedback, how about we just take a moment to reflect on how Dave did in his speech? For instance, what are the good things? What really worked? Now, evaluation is like an art. You will see something else and I will see something else. But together, we can try to figure out what exactly we saw, and we can cover all the good things. So let's start by asking you, or just sharing among us, what do you think worked well with Dave's speech? Who wants to go first? Yes. So it's a good observation, because when you give a story from your personal experience, you really don't need the notes.
So next on the agenda is table topics. Table topics in Toastmasters is a chance for everyone, well, not everyone today because we have a large group and we don't have as much time as we would need, but for people to get a chance to speak impromptu or off the top of your head or an elevator speech, those types of things, to be able to come up with something without even really knowing the answer. Today I've gone easy on you because I already have your answers to the question that I presented to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read off a couple of these today, and if your destination comes up and you would like to, I'm not going to force anybody, but if you would like to, just get up and tell us why you wanted to go to this destination or what has drawn you to that destination, and just speak for 1 to 2 minutes. If you only make it 15 seconds, no problem. When I first started Toastmasters, if I made it 20 seconds, I was doing good. Now, again, they can't get me to shut up even at the 2 minutes, but just getting up and getting a chance to speak off the top of your head is a great thing for interviews, for just in general conversation. Someone would like to get up and tell us why they would like to go to wherever they have the huts you can stay in on the water. Maybe that's Bora Bora or Fiji, anything like that. Wherever that is, whoever this is, would you like to get up and talk about what has drawn you to that? Anybody? Awesome. Thank you. So next on our agenda is we have to go and get our reports from our accountant and our grammarian. Mr. Accountant, would you like to provide a report, please? So one thing I want to address while we're talking about Toastmasters is some people get a little freaked out by all the clapping, and that's understandable, but there's a reason behind all the clapping. The clapping is, one, to encourage everyone to get up, and as they come up, we encourage them by clapping our hands and just giving them a little bit of encouragement. And after they finish their role, then we give them a little bit more encouragement by clapping them back to their seat. Another thing that people get a little freaked out about is all the handshaking. And that is also understandable, but there's a reason behind that as well. When we do the handshake, it's because we're passing off the lectern. There is no lectern today, but passing off the front of the room to the next person that's going to be giving whatever speaking presentation they're going to be. Does anyone have any questions about Toastmasters? Yes. Toastmasters does have 2 different tracks. One is the communication track, and one is the leadership track. We have another meeting where you can vote on a club name, voting in club officers. We do need 7 club officers to charter the club. So there's the president, vice president of education, vice president of membership, vice president of public relations. Then there's the secretary, the treasurer, and the sergeant at arms. So those are all different positions that we would need to have voted in on if we just do decide to charter a club. Then we also need to decide on a club name. And some other items that you need to decide on is if it's a closed club, an open club, those types of things. We find that it's most effective to have a weekly meeting, and then as you can make it, and as you can't, you can't. Just having that much more frequency gives you more opportunity to get to the gym. Well, if there are any other questions, we'd be happy to answer them afterwards. We are at the time limit for our meeting today. Thank you very much for coming today, and we hope to get this club going for you. Thank you very much.